Hello and welcome everyone. We all know that preference share capital has preference in terms of dividend, and a fixed amount or a fixed rate is normally paid to preference share capital, come what may, whether the company is earning or not. But there is also a provision in the Companies Act where if the company is not able to pay, company does not have enough profits to pay dividend to preference share capital holders, then in that case, if the company does not pay, that particular dividend for that year would be expired and the company will not be liable to pay the same. Did you know about this? If you have not known about this, we will understand these smaller points in this very short lecture about preference share capital with respect to this chapter 4 for share capital and debentures. So without wasting any time, I am your teacher Santosh Baliga. Let's get started to preference share capital. Preference share capital, first of all, is that part of the issued capital of the company which carries or would carry a preferential right with respect to. This is something that I had already explained to you in my last lecture. If you have not yet seen the first lecture, which is the basic and introduction lecture, please go through the same. And I have also taken you through section 43 in that particular lecture. Okay, so a preferential capital will have a preferential right with respect to two things. First, payment of dividend. Second, repayment in case of winding up or repayment of capital. Now, whenever we speak about payment of dividend, there will be fixed payment of dividend which will be made to the preference share capital. This is something which is decided at the time of the issue of the share capital itself, issue of the preference share capital itself. Like say, company, you would have seen in your accounting questions that the question would say 10% preference share capital or 8% preference share capital. What is this percentage which is given before the name of the preference share capital? It is basically nothing but the dividend rate which is assured by the company to such preference share capital holders. Okay, so when we say that 8% preference share capital, that means 8% will be the amount of, will be the rate at which the dividend will be paid to the preference share capital holder. Okay, so payment of dividend can happen at the fixed amount. Either fixed amount may also be decided, or it is also possible normally, which is seen, is a fixed rate which is decided. Okay, now whenever fixed rate is decided, the same will be clearly specified also in the balance sheet of the company at the liability side. Okay, now on the basis of dividend payment, the preference share capital may be classified into two. One is cumulative preference share capital and the other is non-cumulative preference share capital. When we speak about cumulative preference share capital, that means the amount of yearly or annual dividend which is promised by the company will have to be given by the company. And if the company is not able to give it for this particular year, then in that case, the amount will get accumulated and will have to be given out of the funds out of next year. So it will get accumulated on year till the company actually pays it off. Okay, so you can see cumulative preference shares are basically where dividend accumulates unless it is paid in full. So in case if a company in 2019-20 was supposed to give dividend to its preference shareholders, say of a particular preference shareholder of 1 lakh rupees, company could not pay this 1 lakh rupees in 1920. Now in 2021, again at the same amount, the company had to pay 1 lakh rupees. So now what would happen is that the company would have to now pay 1 lakh rupees plus 1 lakh rupees plus any interest which has to be paid as arrears of dividend. So what is happening over here is that the company will have to cumulatively pay the shareholder the total amount of dividend. But this is exactly the opposite which will happen in case it is a non-cumulative preference shares. In non-cumulative preference shares, if the company does not pay in 1920 1 lakh rupees, if it does not pay, then this 1 lakh rupees will become expired or the liability will be extinguished. Okay, normally companies issue cumulative preference shares. As any preference shareholder, when he is buying preference shares, would want this security to invest into preference shares of fixed income. Okay, and so no arrears of dividend are payable in future in non-cumulative preference shares. So I hope you understood this, both this cumulative and non-cumulative preference shares. This is something that I'm going to come up with the next lecture very soon on dividend and on payment of dividend, where this basic concepts will be used. So in this short lecture, we had spoken about two preferences, preferential treatment, which is given to preference share capital, about payment of dividend and repayment in case of winding up or repayment of capital. And we also understood the concept of cumulative preference share capital and non-cumulative preference shares. I hope you have understood this very short lecture. From the next lecture, we will be diving into more important sections of this chapter, like DVR conditions, like sweat equity shares, like buyback, like bonus shares. Okay, so be prepared for that. There will be a little bit of more technical points that we will go through in the future sections. If you have understood this lecture, do ensure that you like this lecture, share it to your friends to the maximum, and if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel, as it adds motivation to me. Thanks a lot.